Hey, welcome back. This is Shah. There's been a lot of news lately about the UFO UAP phenomenon. We had a whistleblower come out earlier in the week, and there was also this 4chan post with someone claiming anonymously to have worked on one of the UAP crash recovery team where they try to reverse engineer and analyze the wreckage. So there's been a lot going on. Let's go ahead and check it out.
Start tonight with something. I couldn't believe this story when it broke late today. Truly out of this world. It's hard to think of anything that, frankly, is more significant than this tonight. According to what is now an explosive expose in the publication The Debrief, a former Intel official turned whistleblower has given Congress and the Intel community, Inspector General, extensive classified information about deeply covert programs that he says possess retrieved and intact and partially intact craft of non-human origin. Now, this whistleblower is not some kook. His name is David Charles Grusch, and he's a decorated former combat officer in Afghanistan, as well as a veteran of the National Geospatial Intel Agency and the National Reconnaissance Office. Now, it was in that office where he served as the representative to the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. Here he is in his own words.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will. It's probably not the right parlance, but no kidding, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
I think it's interesting that when he references the word spacecraft, he says it's probably not the right parlance. He might be referring to the fact that they're coming from deep inside the ocean. There was the 4chan post. I think I mentioned that earlier. This guy was the first whistleblower to come out, except he remained anonymous, but he came out and he said, I have intimate knowledge of what the U.S. currently knows about UFOs minus the last 2 years. UFOs are primarily unmanned drones. UFOs are built to spec each time they are deployed. UFOs are created by a mobile construction facility that hides in the ocean. So he came out and said that his team worked specifically in a focus of the Atlantic Ocean. So he didn't know because he wasn't privy to that information, but there's probably other teams that maybe focus on the Pacific and other places and stuff. But his team specifically was for the retrieval process for the space. I want to call them spaceships, but for the UAPs. And I went through the whole post when it first came out because it was very interesting and compelling. Of course, there was no hard evidence, but the stuff he was saying seemed to make a lot of sense. So people were like, And now that this whistleblower come out, this David Grusch guy, it really lends a lot more credence to the 4chan post.
But like other whistleblowers we've heard from of late, the government bureaucracy will undoubtedly try to discredit Mr. Grusch's account. But anticipating the fallout, he's warning that such ongoing government denial of this 80-year arms race, what he calls it, would be extremely dangerous for mankind, inhibiting our ability to be prepared for an unexpected non-human intelligence contact scenario. Joining us now is Ryan Graves, a former F/A-18 Super Hornet pilot for the Navy who says he came across these types of aircraft. Ryan, I was stopped today in everything I was doing when this came out late today. But do you agree this is, at this point, about safety and our own national security at this point?
Oh, absolutely. It's never stopped being about our national security. What David has been able to do and the courage that he's been able to demonstrate coming forward, I think, are exactly what Congress was hoping for when they've enacted laws in the last National Defense Authorization Act in order to enable just this.
Now, what you saw when you were on the F-18, when you were piloting the F-18, describe for us specifically.
Certainly. We were flying out off the coast of Virginia Beach on a daily basis, and we started noticing on our radar, on our camera systems, and eventually our eyeballs, what appeared to be dark gray or black cubes inside of clear translucent spheres. These objects were typically anywhere between 250 and 350 knots and performing meandering maneuvers or even straight maneuvers upwards of supersonic. This actually lines up quite well with what Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office has recently communicated as being the most prevalent type of object that he's been seeing through his research. Spherical objects that travel anywhere from 0 to 2 Mach.
Now, Ryan, the government has slowly had to reveal that these are indeed unidentified objects, that they cannot, they can't say what they are, but they're not regular. But their justification, essentially, for not being forthright about this initially was national security, correct?
Certainly. Not from the angle of we're going to hide what's on our camera systems, but the fact that our cameras could perhaps see certain things or our radars could detect certain objects at certain ranges. That's typically the reason that's been explained why these videos and these images have been classified to the level they have been. I think
Ryan,
it remains to be seen.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to play a little bit more from this whistleblower, then let you finish your thought there.
That guy is a F-18 pilot, and the whistleblower, seems to have a pretty legitimate career also. So these are pretty sharp guys right here saying this. I don't think anybody denies that these UAPs are out there because, we had the footage released. I think that was from the Pentagon. That was a few years back, 2017 or 2018. I could be wrong about the year. Then we had Bob Lazar. I was on Joe Rogan podcast, and he had huge claims basically saying he actually worked on the reverse engineering process of some of those. And there seems to be more whistleblowers coming out. So I believe what this guy's saying. I'm heavily biased because I want to believe it. But it's really seeming undeniable at this point.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
Ryan, again,
from what I've read, I think they're saying at least 12 spacecraft. I saw that a couple hours ago in an article.
This is the kind of stuff people would just be waved off as a complete insane asylum person for even speculating about just, recently, a few years ago. But now it's like, oh yeah, there's a lot of these. What is the average American supposed to think about the government's credibility on this issue, given now what we're discovering, albeit, belatedly?
Well, I think the average person right now just needs to sit and wait a little bit and see this process play out. David has provided a number of documents and pieces of evidence, to my knowledge, that Congress can then validate. And then they'll be in a position then to communicate that information to the American people. I truly believe that transparency is the only way this conversation is going to be resolved. And this is a great step forward in that direction.
Well, and certainly Congress has to be briefed on this regularly. I mean, you can't keep this information from Congress. I don't believe there's any justification for doing that. Ryan, I can't wait to find out more. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
That's what happened earlier in the week. And News Nation Debrief was the website that broke it first. Then there was an interview with David Grusch on News Nation, which is now a very big network. I didn't know who they were before this story, but they released like an 11-minute interview with the guy, but really what they revealed was they actually have footage that's like 7 hours, or I think it was more, it was like 7 to 9 hours of actual interview footage with them that they didn't release yet. So there's more information coming. The interesting thing about the 4chan post was that he made claims that that there were pilots in some of these. So he said that not only do they have the craft, but they also have, what would appear to be some dead alien bodies in there. And here's the claim. So U.S. has 12 or more alien spacecraft, say military and intelligence contractors. So this just came out today. And there's a lot more information here. And it also discusses the AARO, which I guess would be the department that is kind of managing this, and they haven't really come out and said much other than kind of your standard deflecting answers. Today we had another interview about how lawmakers were reacting to this whole thing.
Tonight, more stunning claims from the former high-level intelligence officer who says the U.S. has a top-secret program that's been collecting UFOs of non-human origin for decades. Earlier this week, during an exclusive interview seen only here on News Nation, David Grusch claimed a top-secret program has several of these aircraft and that scientists have been secretly studying them for years, trying to analyze how they were made. Grusch said the UFOs, also known colloquially now as UAPs, could not have been made here on this Earth. He also alleged that this program has been kept hidden from Congress and the American public. The Pentagon is denying the blockbuster claims. Correspondent Joe Khalil is live. And Joe, you have more details from Grusch tonight. What are they?
Yeah, we do, Elizabeth. And I have to say, from here on Capitol Hill, what we're seeing is largely reflective of what we see nationwide. Lawmakers are fascinated by what they are hearing from this whistleblower, David Grusch. They are curious, some understandably a little bit skeptical about it, but everybody wants to know more, especially as we're getting brand new revelations, even now, some of which you are about to see here for the first time. Even more new revelations from former Air Force intelligence officer turned whistleblower David Grusch, detailing never-before-shared secrets over what he claims is a government cover-up about flying aircraft that couldn't have been made by human hands.
A lot of them were very large, yeah. Like a football field kind of size. And I remember interviewing these personnel. I'm like, either these people are lying to me, they're having a psychotic break, or this is some crazy but true stuff that's happening, and I have no good explanation that's prosaic at all for this. I mean, this is like tangible technical craft they're seeing up close and personal in some cases when I interview people.
Grusch broke his silence in a World TV exclusive with News Nation this week. The former intel officer, privy to top-secret information, claims the government has in its possession pieces of aircraft that didn't originate on Earth, and has been keeping it from the public.
The wind's 120 knots from the west. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow.
But Grusch says he's seen a lot more that should be public as well.
I find it very concerning from a transparency perspective that all that the department has declassified were those 3 famous videos. There are more concerning videos that left me with a lot of questions, yeah.
Here on Capitol Hill, lawmakers told News Nation first that soon there will be hearings to look deeper into the UAP reports, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and those hearings will include Grusch's story. Congressman Tim Burchett, one of 2 House members who will lead that probe, says he doesn't believe military intelligence is open about all it knows to the public or to Congress.
You have an aircraft that is being chased by military, our best pilots in the world, bar none, and they are defying our laws of physics. We've got something in our airspace that our military does not control.
Senator Mike Rounds, who serves on the Armed Services Committee, says some of what Grusch revealed is concerning and, if accurate, should be considered a potential threat to national security.
It's something that you have to be aware of. You can't take it lightly if there is a suggestion that there's a technology that we're not familiar with.
And Elizabeth, as we reported there, we scooped yesterday, Congress is going to be taking some action, holding hearings, doing some investigation that they say will include some of David Grusch's story. So interesting there. We know that that is already beginning the planning of that process. By the way, someone else who's familiar with sending things up to space, Elon Musk, weighed in saying simply, I have seen 0 evidence of aliens for what it's worth. So that is Musk's thought on this, for whatever that is worth.
On his Johnson to space?
You know, I think that's going to be pretty good that Congress is going to have hearings about it. I'm definitely hoping we get a very official disclosure that isn't just whistleblowers. And I have so many questions. One of those questions is, what does the spacecraft look like? I wish I can see a photo, like a nice high resolution close-up photo of one of the craft in the labs. We had in this Substack article another whistleblower described what they saw. One source described having seen 3 kinds of craft, including one shaped like a triangle and another that looked like a chopped-up helicopter with the front bubble of a Huey helicopter. So this is a Huey helicopter, so it's saying the front bubble of this thing. With the plastic windows, or more like a deep-sea submarine, with the thick piece of glass bubble-shaped, and where the tail rudder should have been, it was a black, egg-shaped pancake. And instead of landing gear, it had upside-down ram's horns that went from the top to the bottom and rested on the ends of the horns. So, I mean, it's pretty cool to get a description. I mean, I'm just trying to imagine. We don't have any descriptions of what the pilots might look like, but if it has a piece of glass in the front and it's kind of like a helicopter, I think it's not, you know, too big of a stretch to reason that there must be pilots that at least have eyes that they see out of that cockpit with. I mean, maybe, unless it's like some kind of unmanned craft and it's more like a camera that needs to see out of there. But if it is an organism, then who knows? Maybe they're not too different from us. So that's pretty big news to me. And I can't wait to hear more. And I believe it. You know, I believe they're under the oceans. And the 4chan whistleblower talked about what they would call in his team a manufacturing facility, because he said in there that they can see this thing heat up right before a takeoff, basically, for one of these UAPs. And ostensibly what that indicated was that it was literally crafting it at that moment. So, you know, a lot of people might think this is kind of crazy. I don't. It makes complete sense. And I have so many questions for the aliens, you know. I wonder what their communication is like. That'd be so cool, like, if that really happened. What if they have very detailed records of history, at least human history? Like, maybe they just observe things. Like, how many debates could we get settled if they answered some of our questions? So when were the pyramids built? Maybe they can tell us exactly when they noticed those things go up, you know. And who knows how long they've been here. They may not even be from outer space. I mean, maybe they're just really ancient earthly beings that live under the ocean. Either way, I'm very excited about this, and I can't wait to hear more. And I like sitting here imagining what that craft with the ram's horns probably looks like. So the whole thing is just very, very strange. Anyways, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If I get any more information on this, I will definitely make another video and share it. And leave your comments down below. We'll see you on the next one.